and Food Affair with Peter and Kobela.
I understand why we had to close businesses in our homes, and it makes sense. But let's talk about the economics of this and how it affects our daily lives.
Okay.
So,
are you still comparing it?
No, I'm not comparing the two. Yes, I am still comparing them, but I'm comparing them on a financial basis.
Yes.
Malaria still kills people till today, right? People are dying from it way more than COVID-19. But the IMF will not give us the same amount of money as it would compared to COVID-19. So that's my issue, that the economics of it are not.
I think we are viewing this thing in a very this is perhaps comparing it to the other diseases, like it sort of the flu that was, what do you call that?
Swine flu.
Not swine flu.
Bird flu. What was it called?
We had in what do they call that flu? But that was
influenza. You're talking about
influenza, but it has its own name, which it happened some many years ago, where it wiped out a whole lot of. Still, we haven't even reached that with COVID-19. Sure. But what I'm trying to say is that this is a new. Remember, malaria. We have a vaccine.
Right.
It's curable.
Right.
You know, we have medication that can do that.
Yeah.
This is something unknown. This is something that we don't have a vaccine to. This is something that we have no experience of. You know, so meaning that you had to act. You had to act, because, I mean, judging by how people were dying in Italy, and how people were dying in other countries, and there's no cure, there's no prevention method that you can do. You needed to act, because if then as a leader you just keep quiet, you don't act, you say no, we'll see.
You're making perfect sense, Mr. Masai.
Then it might be irresponsible.
However, I want to get to the point, Yakobela, in this economics comparison. What is the point that he wants to?
No, the point is, forget how many people it's killing.
Okay.
The amount of money going to malaria and the amount of money going to COVID-19 are not the same.
Okay.
And that's an issue. Something that just came overnight. We could act, but something that has been killing our people, we are slow to act, and that's a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there are some basic challenges a beginner farmer is going to be faced with, you know, but I think they are old, in inverted commas. When I mean old, I think they are easy to deal with.
Okay, the challenges,
so,
yes.
you will find a lot of people talking about access to finance, access to market, access to knowledge. All of that, all those three, are a thing of the past. We shouldn't be talking of those as barriers to entry, unless Peter disagrees with me. But in my view, and perhaps maybe I've been in this industry for so long, we've found ways, which I will share with our listeners today, on how to circumvent issues of what I feel is old challenges. I don't know what you think.
Okay.
I think that I would to a certain level, to agree with Kobela, but I think we, you know, where I used to work, my boss as a journalist and stuff, how when you write and you tell people something, you would write with that, with having in mind, thinking that because you know, everybody knows.
Okay.
You know, so you used to call it a case of knowledge.
Yeah.
Because you know and you assume that. So basically, you are not hitting it on your writing, because you're not explaining things that you feel like I shouldn't explain. You know. So basically, I think one major challenge, what I've seen and what I've observed in all these years doing this thing, the biggest challenge for me, obstacle, is information. And I'll explain, because if you have information, you are able to circumvent, as Kobela is saying, the challenges, other challenges. If you know various ways of getting land, that is information. If you know, you would know how then I would tackle
which goes to information.
The issue of land. If you know who gives finance and how they give finance, you know that. So my concern is the major concern for me is information. You know, I had a conversation this week with a colleague of mine, and who does sort of a radio show on another radio about what is actually the barrier, the biggest barrier to enter this thing, and we came to this conclusion that it's information. But you see, with the new technology now that we have, cell phones, we are able to get over that barrier. You know,
so the information is no longer the
it
challenge.
shouldn't, but it still is. It shouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But look, I mean, I agree with you. It still is. It still is a barrier to entry, information. And I think information rounds up everything, which is true. I mean, you look at how we can talk about finance, but then we can talk about good finance.
Okay.
And the difference between good finance and just ordinary finance is information.
Okay.
So if you don't know the difference, it means you're not informed. So I agree with Mashallah to say yes, information is probably the primary of anyone's success in the agricultural sector. But I want to raise something that only some barriers information cannot solve.
Okay, like what?
Like a social ill. That's a more psychological barrier. Like an example. So, you want to get into this business, agriculture, but or formally you come from a background, accounting. So you are used to having an office and so forth, and you're relatively successful in people's eyes. Now you decide, I'm no longer going to be working in this cushioned office. I'm going to be working outside. It means the conditions of the climate will affect me negatively, and also forth and so all sorts of things, you know. And now, you know what I mean. So now all of a sudden, the society is saying, Mara Hopolang, what are you doing? Are you leaving a cushioned job to go into agriculture and feed the nation? Do you understand what I mean? The whole day. Now, that's a barrier. Many people, if you're not strong psychologically, it will become a barrier, and information might be difficult to overcome that sort of a barrier.
Okay.
I would also just like to disagree again.
Disagreeing a lot.
Because, you see,